Hello, welcome back to another piece of information which will help you understand markets. Now, what we're looking at is main industry drivers, okay, that's going to impact locations. Now, where you get this data from, ABS data is probably one of the best websites you can possibly use, Australian Bureau of Statistics, or you can use ID profiles, which is another website that we use. And this is understanding what's happening and what industries are dominating this market. Now, when we're looking into a certain industry, I don't want to look into an industry where there's also a location, location. We don't want to look into a location where there's one or two main driving industries and all the other industries aren't really performing much in those markets. For example, look at Gladstone or Port Hedland, your mining towns. Those mining towns are very one-sided to just mining. Now, if mining closed in those towns, which they have before, and which the property markets, have suffered a lot, especially in Port Hedland, when it had a median price of $200,000 and it went up to $950,000 in a space of 3 to 4 years. Those markets suffered once BHP came in and said, you know what? We're not going to pay for accommodation anymore. We're going to fly our workers in and out of Port Hedland. That property market crashed dramatically. And so when we're looking to a certain markets, doesn't matter if it's a mining town, doesn't matter if it's an agricultural town, we want to know what are the main economic drivers. Now, as you see here on this page, we want more than 5 economic drivers. And how we determine that is that we go off the state average. So, for example, let's say we're looking at Cairns, for example. Now, I want 5 industries to be higher than the state average of Queensland. And let's say Cairns is, they're dominating in healthcare, educational, construction, retail, and manufacturing. And you start to say, okay, they're all those 5 industries that are in Cairns, they're higher than the state average of Queensland. So, and they're not just a little bit high. Some of these industries are much higher than the state average by 2, 3, even 10. Some of them 10% maybe, and that gives you an understanding. Like, oh, okay, there's a massive shift here. So we want to look at different types of industry drivers. Okay, so there's so many. There's manufacturing, of course. We've got here. We've got your arts. We've got your food services. We've got your trading services. We've got, you've got your manufacturing. Have we got manufacturing here? We've got manufacturing here. We've got your fishing and agricultural sectors. There's so many different types of sectors. There's probably, I think, 15 to 20 they've got on ABS data. And so that gives you an understanding. It's like, okay, let's have a look at these sectors. Now, if you want to go deep on this to make an understanding, you've got to look at past history as well. So it might be all good. You might see the healthcare system in one town. Let's go back. In one town, performing quite well, and it's higher than the state average at the moment. But let's go back, and let's go back to previous data and see what happens. The last 4 years, has it been increasing? Because you got to look, if that's been decreasing as the years are going on, that market might be getting softer in that certain industry. So we want to make sure those economic driving industries are driving still on a positive slope. They're starting at the left-hand corner of the graph and they're going to the far right. We want to make sure it's trending up with those industries. And as well, when you're looking at past history data, if we're looking into a town and say construction or retail isn't big in those towns, but if we look at the past history, it wasn't big, but it's actually grown 5% or more in the last 4 or 5 years, you can start to understand, okay, this is starting to increase, and it's actually starting to go over the state average. And then they might have more than, your 5 or, your 6 economic drivers that are in that certain town. So this gives you an understanding. And what that gives you an understanding, of course, when there's these sort of sectors that are dominating, of course, infrastructure is going to contribute to this. Jobs is going to contribute to this. Movement of people, desirability, opportunities, etc. So there's a lot to this. Like I said before, if you watch the infrastructure spending, all of these link up with each other. The more you have linked up with each other, the more signs of positive cash flow, positive growth of those locations, more desirability. So these are the fundamentals that we have to stick to and that make an understanding of what's happening in the market.